All right, let's talk about something that really is at the core of everything we do: emotional maturity. Now, let's get one thing straight from the get go. This is not some fixed trait you either have or you don't. Think of it more like a skill, a muscle that gets stronger the more you actually work on it. And today, we're going to walk through the major turning points on that journey.
So, let's just start with a simple question for you to chew on. Are you guided by your emotions, or are you the one doing the guiding? I mean, really think about it. When that wave of frustration or anxiety suddenly hits, who's actually in the driver's seat? Honestly, how you answer that is pretty much the key to everything we're about to get into.
So, what are we really talking about here? Well, at its heart, emotional maturity is the ability to understand your emotions, to manage them, and to respond thoughtfully, instead of just, reacting on impulse. It's all about creating that tiny bit of space, that all important pause between feeling something and doing something about it. It's a skill set, not a destination.
Okay, so this whole journey, it really has to start from the inside out. Before we can change how we deal with the world, we've got to get a handle on our own inner world first. So let's look at the first couple of milestones on this path. Here's the first big one. It's learning how to just sit with uncomfortable feelings. That ache of sadness, that itch of boredom, that pang of jealousy, without immediately trying to shut it down. We all do it, right? We grab our phone, we open the fridge. But maturity is about building the strength to just be with the feeling, to let it exist without needing to escape. And that right there is where real power begins. And that leads us right into the next step. Look, you can feel white-hot anger, and that feeling is totally valid. But you don't have to fire off that scathing email. You can feel crushing anxiety, but you don't have to bail on your friend. This is so crucial. Maturity creates a gap between what you feel and what you do. And in that gap, you get to choose. The feeling doesn't get to call the shots anymore. You do. And you know what? Once you start getting a handle on your inner world, it just naturally starts to change how you show up for other people. So, for this next part, let's look at how this whole maturity thing plays out in our relationships. This one is a game changer. It's about shifting away from defending yourself with, "but I didn't mean to hurt you," and moving toward, "I get that what I did was hurtful." See, an emotionally mature person understands that their good intentions don't just magically erase a bad outcome. They own the impact of their actions, period. And of course, owning your impact leads right to this. A real grown-up apology is about the other person. It's not about making yourself feel better or getting off the hook. It's what we call a clean apology. No excuses, no justifications, and absolutely no trying to flip the script and make yourself out to be the victim. And we can see exactly what that looks like here. On one side, you've got the classic, "I'm sorry but," or the "I'm sorry you feel that way." It's all about making excuses and shifting blame. But then you have the mature apology. It simply takes ownership. It sounds like, "I'm sorry for what I did. I understand why that hurt." See the difference? One is trying to shut down the conversation. The other is trying to actually fix things. All right, for the last stage of this journey, we're gonna zoom out. It's about moving beyond just our own stuff and changing how we connect with the world and other people through empathy and a little intellectual humility. This is the art of really, truly listening. When someone is telling you about a problem, our first instinct is often to jump in with, "Oh, that's just like this one time when I." But maturity is about resisting that urge. It's about holding space for their experience, listening to understand them, not just waiting for your chance to talk. You let their story just be their story. And that brings us to the final milestone, which is all about unhooking your ego from your opinions. Someone who's emotionally mature doesn't see changing their mind as a sign of weakness. No way. They see it as a sign of strength, of learning. It's about deciding that growing is way more important than always being right. So you go through this journey, you learn to master your inner world, you take responsibility, you expand your perspective. So what's the result? What does all this work actually create? Well, it creates a whole new mindset. What you end up with is this amazing emotional toolkit. You have the tools to sit with discomfort, to choose your actions, to own your impact, to give a clean apology, to truly hear other people, and to stay open to new ideas. These aren't just concepts. They're actual, practical skills for building a better, more resilient life. And this quote just nails it. The goal isn't to become some unfeeling robot, not at all. It's about learning to work with your feelings. You listen to them, you respect them, but at the end of the day, you, your thoughtful, conscious self, are the one in the driver's seat deciding which way to turn.
So, I'll just leave you with this. You don't have to tackle all of this at once. That would be overwhelming. Just look at this toolkit and pick one. Which one of these skills feels like the one you need most right now? Which tool are you going to try to practice first?